A tale, let it be told. On the shoulder of Amenfro Coast Road, where palm fronds gossip with trotro horns and the ocean rehearses forgiveness against rocks, a woman in a wax print dress set down a basket of garden eggs and a bottle of radiator water. She had pulled over proper, triangle erect like a small sermon, bonnet open like a mouse seeking diagnosis, hands visible as if to say to the road, "Look, I am not a rumor." A patrol truck rolled up, blue light coughing like a smoker's sigh. An officer dropped from the passenger seat with boots that had learned the geography of swagger. His tone stepped out before his badge. "Madam," he said without greeting, "license trunk. Now, we've had thefts. People like you come to strip cars and cry poverty." The woman wiped her hands on a cloth the color of patience. "Good afternoon, officer," she said, voice gentle as palm oil that refuses to burn too quickly. "My name is Amanyarko. Before I reach for anything, what is the lawful reason for your stop?" His laugh scuffed the dust. "This is not a debate. Show me your ID before I waste my day teaching you discipline." She looked at his shoulders and saw a man trained to carry weight, and at his tone and saw a man trying to get the weight to carry him. She reached slowly, narrating for the air and for the future. "Right hand moving to my handbag, taking out my wallet," she said so the wind could testify later. She held a slim leather fold, but she did not open it yet. She lifted a small laminated reason card instead, the kind children could color and adults could memorize. The gavel, disguised as a dented hubcap, nailed to a nearby kiosk, tapped once in the sea breeze. Watch the tone, watch the ID, watch the badge behind the badge. Last market day, the city swore in 3 field liaisons to the National Human Dignity Commission, NHDC, a body with teeth made of paper and jaws made of community. Their job, observe street encounters, test the 7 courtesies of public stops, knit policy to practice before humiliation sows a scandal. The most stubborn among them was Amanyarko, a seamstress's daughter whose mother taught her to mend patterns, not just cloth. In her wallet, she carried 2 cards, a driver's license faded by duty and an ID with a sun crest and the words Field Liaison Street Encounters Unit. It was not a crown, it was a receipt of trust. Today a roadside would need it. If this tale meets you by the shoulder of a road, let it find more shoulders. Like to keep the hubcap drum loud, share with someone who has been greeted by tone instead of law, and comment with your City Plus current time so the next part knows where to land before old habits do. Listeners, sit your ears like calabashes at a naming. The Amanfro Coast Road that morning wore 2 moods, sunlight working a shift and clouds filing complaints. Amanyarko had guided her old Corolla to the edge, not because the car had betrayed her, but because she had seen the temperature gauge flirting with the wrong numbers. When machines mutter, wise people pull over. She set the triangle with the reverence one saves for elders and laws. She cracked the radiator cap with a rag and the caution of someone who has met steam and learned to fear it politely. She placed her basket away from her feet. Garden eggs, peppers, a jar of anchovies, a strip of spare cloth that could become a rag or a headscarf depending on which problem arrived first. The patrol truck approached the way some men approach a problem they have already narrated to themselves. The officer's name tag said Ofori, his partners said Tenge. Their dashcam blinked like an old lizard, alive but not eager to run. The ocean, which keeps secrets and gives advice, kept both. "License now," Officer Ofori repeated, tone applying handcuffs to vowels. Ama lifted the reason card. The front read in thick childproof letters, greet and name, state reason, set boundary, Oscar order, receipt, supervisor, release. Officer, Ama said, "Shall we walk these together? It will cool the road." She smiled like someone who knows pepper and still eats stew. She pointed to the first line. "Greet and name." He looked offended by pedagogy. "I am Corporal Ofori," he tossed, picking up the baton of impatience. "And this is LCPL Tenge. We are stopping you because he flailed among reasons like a man selecting cloth in the dark. Because my vehicle is stationary on a shoulder used by hubcap thieves," Ama suggested gently, "which gives you reason to engage, not to accuse." He squared his jaw at the difference. "Yes," he said finally. "For safety, stand here." He gestured vaguely, then sharpened his hand. "No recording." "Public place," Ama replied, holding up her phone camera without raising it. I may record. You may also record if your dashcam intends to work. She turned to Tenge. Is it working? Tenge shrugged with a particular shrug of second seats. Battery, he said, which explained nothing and everything. The crowd that arrives everywhere, hawker, driver, apprentice, auntie, materialized at a polite distance. Auntie Isi, who sells plantain chips shaped like courage, clicked her tongue. A Trotro mate rehearsed insults and then selected wisdom. The salt air tasted of oncoming lecture. I'm asking to search your trunk, Ofori announced, settling into uniform certainty like a man into a borrowed chair. And I am refusing, Amma returned, because asking accepts. Really, no. She held up the reason card at line 4. Ask or order. If you have a lawful basis to order, say it in complete sentences so that later your own memory will be grateful. Ofori's tone thickened. A stew left too long on coals. You think you know law because you can recite laminated English? We have work. He reached toward her handbag. Emma stepped back. Polite distance for dignity's sake. Do not touch my bag, she said, not a whisper and not a shout. We will finish step 05, receipt, mission 6, supervisor, before anyone's hands forget their manners. Receipt on the roadside? He scoffed. Are we a supermarket? Exactly, she said. In supermarkets, money changes hands, and we record it. On roadsides, power changes hands, and we must record that too. He rolled his eyes to show the sky who the man was. He reached again, not to grab, to intimidate. The ocean inhaled. Auntie Essie. Inhaled. The road inhaled. The dented hubcap nailed to the kiosk gave one metallic cough. Amma opened her leather fold at last. She did not thrust anything. She laid it in her palm the way people place an egg where they wish life to continue. Suncrest, NHDC. Field Liaison, Street Encounters Unit. Under it, her name, Amma Niarco. And an embossed sentence that catches pride like a thorn catches careless skirts. Empowered to observe, audit, and initiate corrective training during public stops. It is no every day that tone meets its ledger. Corporal Ofori's mouth remembered it had a jaw. Hey, he hunched a fraction, then straightened and rearranged the furniture of his face. Ma'am, why didn't you lead him with that? Oh, because I wanted to meet your training before I met your fear of consequences, Amma said softly. If your tone bows to paper, but won't bow to people, then the paper is your idle core and people are your house stormer. We will change that order. Sergeant Ayelen from the radio room, the one person in the district who has learned that curiosity is a form of courage, arrived, breath-controlled, curiosity visible. Report, she said, voice calm enough to iron crumpled tempers. Routine check, Ofori said too quickly. His tone had fresh polish. Emma lifted the shield reason card. Rail halfway between them, not as a shield, as a mirror. Let's reset, she said, from the top. She turned to the little audience and raised her voice just enough for instruction to defeat ready performance. We will do a clean stop here. It will take 2 minutes, or then we'll all live with less blood pressure. She faced Ofori with the tenderness of a midwife asked to coach a first-time father. Greed and name. He inhaled, found the harbor. Good morning, madam. I am Corporal Ofori. Afternoon, murmured Auntie Isi, who always knows the clock when her oil tells her so. Good afternoon, he corrected, from the Amenfro West Patrol. I'm stopping you because your vehicle is stationary and we have had theft, say, in this corridor. For safety, stand here. You may record. I am asking to look in your trunk. Do you consent? No, she said, smiling at the right to. No. The way one smiles at a child who finally pronounces their own name. I decline consent. If you proceed, it must be in order with one cause. If we complete our conversation, you will issue a stop receipt. If I desire to co-supervisor, you will assist. Once finished, you will say the words we love to hear. You are free to go. He nodded. His tone stepped down from the chair and learned to stand on his own feet. Tenge found a pad of stop receipts in the glove box, thin as a neglected conscience. He filled the lines with a seriousness that made his handwriting shape up. Why is the ID necessary? Someone in the crowd asked, honest irritation in their question. If she were an ordinary person without a sun crest, would the tone stay wrong? Amma turned so her words could launder the question before it stained. The Idipwani is a mirror, not a weapon, she said. It reminds the uniform that paper is watching, but the badge behind the badge is service. The true test is whether next time tone changes because you see a town neighbor, not a whole crester. We will test that. Sergeant Ayeli tilted her head. We should play some Mad at the Station, she said slowly, like a woman reconstructing a recipe from smell. A Mad of Dignity. We stand on it and rehearse 7 courtesies until our tongues can say them under heat. Amma nodded. And a bench of ears in the lobby carved. Listen first, then instruct, then enforce. Counting that order is how we keep our stomachs from eating our promises. The wind shifted. Cloud decided to wait. The hubcap drum rested. Its work was for later. Amma replaced her ID. She did not enjoy the moment. She honored it. Officer, she said to Ofori, your apology now is not mainly for me. It is that a receipt the crowd will carry home so their younger brothers don't go out tomorrow with fear where their lunch should be. Ofori swallowed pride the way a man swallows tablets he knows he needs. Madam, I apologize for tone instead of law, he said, speaking to the road as much as to her. I forgot a greeting is not time theft. I treated consent like an insult. I will improve. He looked at his partner. We will improve. Write it, Sergeant Isla said, and pointed to the netting stop receipt. The back has, how did we do? And leave a scar we can read. Amma accepted the receipt and the apology with the same ceremony she gives change at the market. Real counted. Good. Now say the last line. Ofori exhaled. You are free to go. I was always free, she said kindly. But now you have joined my freedom with yours. The crowd dispersed not with laughter, not with gossip, but with a new chore for their tongues. Greet reason, boundary, ask order, receipt, supervisor, release. The road felt a gram lighter. Even the ocean scratched its back against rock as if pleased. Before Amma closed her bonnet, she poured the bottle of water with a cloth between cap and mouth, the way you pour apologies through practice so they cool before they spill. She waved thanks to Ayele, nodded to Ofori and Tenge, and slid back into traffic with the leisure of a person whose day refused to be stolen. The hubcap drum tapped twice for luck. The village of asphalt remembered. Tone bends when it sees a crest. The lesson is to make it bend when it sees a person. A tale. Let it be told. 2 afternoons later, the Amanfro West Station smelled of damp forms and old sweat deciding to grow up. In the lobby, on a table that once only held newspapers late enough to be fiction, lay a folded cloth the color of ripe plantain. Sergeant Ailey smoothed it with the tenderness you give to things that will carry reputations. In block ink on its edge, a carpenter with good penmanship had written, Mat of Dignity. Lay it by the front desk, Amma suggested, arriving with a toolbox that jangled like a proverb in a hurry. Where heat is born. Inspector Boteng, head like a careful gourd, frowned politely. Madam Liaison, we are happy to host your cloth, but we do. Real works here. Warrants, fights, men whose dogs love their teeth more than neighbors. Will this mat not turn us into Amma's laugh was soft, but it sharpened where it needed to. Inspector, choirs, train their tongues to produce harmony. Under pressure. We want your men to do the same. Your desk is where the nation interrogates its own voice. Let's tone. A handful of officers gathered. Ofori, defensive humility. Tenge, curiosity like a puppy. PC Ajo, knew enough to still believe in verbs. And Old Mensa, mustache cataloging 50 budget shortfalls. Auntie Essie might have been invited too, because if you can teach an auntie, you can teach a nation. She set down her bowl of plantain chips as if planting a flag. Amma unrolled the mat. It made the floor honest. She placed beside it a small ladder. 3 steps, wood-oiled, words burned into each rung. The tone ladder. Step 1. Greet and name. Nade. Good day. Slawadiya. Step 2. Reason and boundary. I'm stopping you because stand here. You may record. Step 3. Ask or order. I'm asking for consent. You may refuse. I'm ordering a search because. Step 4. Receipt and supervisor. You'll receive a stop receipt. You may request a supervisor. Step 5. Release. We're done. You are free to go. You climb with words, Amma said. You descend with violence. Let us climb until climbing is muscle memory. Inspector Botan crossed his arms. People in the street life, he said. They hide knives under. Please. Will this ladder hold under fear? It will, Amma said. If fear lets discipline hold its shoulder, those who hate the public will hate this mat. Those who love results will love it by noon. She invited Ofori first. He stepped onto the mat like a man stepping onto a boat that intends to test swimming. Greet and name, she prompted. He did. It sounded like apology dressed as introduction. Better than before. Reason and boundary, she said. He quoted theft reports without inventing crimes. He pointed to where a citizen should stand without drawing a circle only a giant could fit. Ask or order, he asked. He accepted. Oh, no, Hein, without flinching. Receipt and supervisor? He said both with a mouth learning to like those tastes. Release? He said it and looked surprised at the way men's shoulders fell gently afterward, like sacks set down after long walking. Amma nodded. Again, she said, the way seamstresses say, again, when a hem still waves at strangers. By the 3rd round, his tone smoothed like wood after 3 passes of sandpaper. The mat remembered his feet. His colleagues clapped, softly. Pride does not like applause until it steals the idea and calls it self-improvement. Then came a PC, a Joe, who attacked the ladder like a student who believes there's a test later worth passing. She greeted like a daughter taught to visit aunties. She stated reasons precise enough to survive cross-examination by a grandmother. She offered boundary that behaved like shelter, not like a cage. She said receiver, as if it were a blessing, and supervisor, as if it were a bridge. When she said, you are free to go, Auntie Easy cried, make it a ringtone. Laughter paid rent. Now for Heedy, Amma said. We'll add spice. She enlisted Auntie Easy to play Angry Citizen, a role most aunties can play without rehearsal. Essie scolded with harmony. Every day you people stop us like goats. Give me the boss, don't try English with me. On the 2nd rung of the ladder, a habit reached for Ofori's throat. He choked it gently and continued. Good afternoon, Auntie. I'm Corporal Ofori. I'm stopping you because, for safety. Your mother! Auntie Essie spat with traditional affection. The room inhaled. Essie smiled slyly. She was trying to tear the mat with a normal insult. For safety, he continued, tone lowered by a centimeter instead of raised by a kilometer. Stand here. You may record. I am asking to see your bag. Do you consent? No! Essie sang triumphantly. Okay, he said, and the room tipped into a small miracle called respect. You will receive a stop receiver with my name. You may request a supervisor. I request. She barked, then winked where only he could see. Inspector, he called calmly, please join us. A simple scene. There were no violins, only men and women practicing a civilization. After drills, old Mensa, asked the question that had been chewing his mustache for a decade. What about a time? Civility eats minutes. Minutes eat fuel. Who pays for the respect? Amma pointed to a whiteboard she had borrowed from a church. On it she had drawn 2 rivers. One called anger, one called order. Under anger, she listed citizen refuses, officer escalates, phones rise, crowd grows, supervisor dragged, complaint filed, days in inquiry, morale rots. Under order, she listed greet, reason, boundary, ask, order, receipt, release, 5 to 7 minutes, no file. Judy continues. Our time is a seed, she said. Sow it in anger, reap paperwork, blunt ulcers. Sow it in order, reap minutes later that you can spend on real policing. Inspector Boateng's frown softened into a shape that could remember laughter. I suppose ulcers cost more than receipts. Much more, Auntie Essie confirmed, tapping her chest. I know pharmacy prices like I know my grandchildren's lives. They installed a one-stop receipt box then. Cheap plastic, stubborn purpose, beside the shared complaints mirrored that slot. Citizens can drop copies, Amma said. Each slip is a mirror. You will gaze weekly, adjust hair. She handed the inspector a template. Receipt ledger. Date, time, officer, reason, outcome, citizen's rating with 5 tiny talking drums to fill in. Give the drum's name back 5 times. You get a blue ribbon of respect while on your locker, she added, producing a ribbon braided from scrap kente by seamstresses who understand ceremony. Ash, what if someone lies on the slip? Old Mensa asked. Pattern will rescue you, Amma said. 1 liar says lion. 10 identical lions. You have a zoo. But 10 different voices naming the same missing step, boundary, reason, then wait, tres are the lion. The session ended with coffee that tasted like budgets and plantain chips that tasted like progress. Inspector Boateng shook Amma's hand with the deliberate respect men use when they realize a woman has done carpentry in their house and their roof has stopped leaking. We will test this, he said. If it breaks, we will fix it ourselves before we fix it. On her way out, Amma saw Corporal Ofori lingering by the mat like a man who has discovered that politeness is oddly addictive. Madam, Amma, he corrected himself. Why did your dame make my throat remember manners? I'm ashamed that I needed the Suncrest to wake me. She did not pat his arm. She respected his architecture. We are human, she said. Symbols change us faster than sermons. The trick is to plant the symbol load inside you. Make your crest a private promise. Then when you meet a neighbor, your own badge shines before theirs. What should I carve? He asked, half joking, half carpenter. She pointed at his chest. Carve names there. When you greet, say them like they paid school fees for your vocabulary. Carve reasons there, specific like chili. Carve no there and like it. Carve free to go there and mean it. That is the badge behind the badge. He nodded, cheeks considering adulthood. I will try. Don't try, she said, smiling. Drill. That evening, the mat seemed to hold a smell like first rain. The tone ladder. Hey, look taller than when it arrived. Ladders do that when people climb them with their tongues. In the logbook, Sergeant Ayele wrote, mat installed, ladder in use. First drills, 6 officers, 1 auntie, 0 casualties. Receipts box breathing. Hubcap drum approves. On the way home, Amma passed the spot where the hubcap gavel lives. A child had tied a ribbon around it, blue like the sea when it admires itself. The wind played the hubcap gently. The road hummed a tune that had been stuck in its teeth for years and finally found its chorus. A tale, let it be told. The city announced Open Shoulders Day. Lanes closed not to cars but to impatience. Under canopies that smelled faintly of yesterday's sunshine, the HDQ, the state police, market queens, drivers' unions, and 3 churches that can't agree on drums but agree on dignity set up stalls. A banner ran the length of the street like a sentence that had finally found its verb. Respect before instruction, instruction before force. The mat of dignity was unrolled wide enough to host a wedding. Children ran across it. Officers who normally chase running things let them. Beside the mat, the Shulton ladder stood like a small sermon on a table. 1,000 stop receipts blinked like blank eyes ready to learn to see. A car was parked on the shoulder, bonnet smiling, triangle proud, the day's stage. Amma wore a simple dress and a bracelet of cowries that click when truth is walking. She greeted like a neighbor and bowed to grandmothers like a granddaughter. The hubcap drum neon. had been taken down from the kiosk with ceremony and hung where it could clear its throat at will. Inspector Boateng opened the day. "We have done drills," he said. "Today we do theater." Hey, he looked at reporters and bloggers and that one uncle who live streams everything with commentary like pepper. "We invite a mistake, sir. We will make them. Then we will fix them while the city watches." First scene. The hot stop. A taxi rolled in with a teacher, the driver who had opinions for lunch. Corporal Ofori flagged him down, and for one delicious second his tone tried to relapse. The hubcap drum coughed. He caught himself and bowed to the mat. "Good afternoon," he began, and the crowd exhaled into a laugh that had been waiting 2 weeks to be born. He walked the 7 courtesies without performing them like a tourist. He did them like a man who had adopted a proverb. Teacher tried tricks, fake calls, loud music, sudden charity. Ofori's boundary held without becoming a wall. The receipt went into the box. A boy in a Manchester jersey clapped with his knees. Second scene, the angry auntie, Auntie Isi, demanded a supervisor before hello. The mat absorbed her thunder. PC Adjo invited the supervisor before the insult could find its legs. The crowd cheered like a radio tuned to agreement. Someone shouted, "Make Adjo IGP." Ghanaian humor travels fast. Third scene, the knife of panic. A motorbike grazed the stall. A small cut on a vendor's shin tried to audition for a riot. Boundary arrived first. Tape, arms, words like shade. Phones rose. No one slapped them down. Ask or order arrived next. Release ended the scene early and sent everybody to Kokoko. Crisis stopped craving drama. Midway, the mayor's liaison brought a stack of certificates that had known printers and then known sunlight. By authority of the NHD crowd and the Municipal Assembly, she read, we enter into a practice. The Street Encounters Charter. 7 courtesies. Mandatory. Receipts mandatory. Madam in every station lobby. Quarterly tone drill. Public review box. Hubcap drum. In every precinct. Optional but encouraged because joy helps discipline. A cheer braided with side-eye. The city had seen charters arrive and pack their clothes after a week. I'ma step to the front not to bless paper, but to assign chores. Every Sunday, she said, the receipt box is opened by a citizen or a sergeant. Numbers are read under the hubcap. If a precinct has 5 weeks of missing releasing statements, the blue ribbon of respecta is removed from lockers and given to the Hotrotro Union for a week. Shame must be a useful, or it is just decoration for anger. A small boy began chanting, "Free to go, free to go," which is better than some chant cities know. Then reality, which loves to test reforms like goats test fences, arrived. A pickup rolled too close. A constable shouted, "Move!" with old muscle. The driver shouted back with ancestral confidence. The knot in the air tied itself quickly. Ima walked into the space as one walks into a kitchen where a pot is threatening to boil over. She raised both hands, not high like a preacher, middle like a person carrying a tray. "Pause," she said. The word had learned to wear authority without borrowing violence. "Let us climb the tone ladder together." She looked at the constable. "Greet him." The constable, cheeks embarrassed by public learning, did. He had a name without choking. "State real reason." Amma guided. He did. "Set boundary." He did. 2 steps back, 1 step forward, showing where the line lives if line must live at all. "Now, ask or order," he asked. The driver refused. He accepted refusal like a man tasting bitter leaf and recognizing medicine. "Receipt," she prompted. He offered it. Now, the best words. "You are free to go," he said. Ears in 3 stalls rang with relief like bells after a funeral that wasn't. The crowd applauded the Shienke uninteresting resolution, which is the best kind. People think justice loves theater. It prefers paperwork that leaves everyone breathing. After the formalities, the receipt box was opened. Children reached in and pulled slips like picking raffle prizes of accountability. PC adjutant read them aloud like liturgy. Officer greeted me. Well, reason not clear. Boundary helpful. He asked. I refused. He did not punish no. Still waiting on Shalice's words, he waved instead. The crowd laughed in a language called repair. A thin man in a faded suit approached the mic. The kind of man who knows off his air like fishermen know salt. My name is Mr. Coomson, he said. I sit on the disciplinary panel. I came to find fault. I found a festival. I don't trust festivals. A laugh that should have been an argument decided to be a hug. But I trust boxes, he continued, tapping the receptacle. Boxes breed patterns. Bring these patterns to my panel and we will listen. Without making young officers spend their salaries on transport to chase old men's tempers. Late afternoon pulled out his amber. The hubcap drum tapped 3 times, which is what it does when it has seen enough humility to sleep. Amma stood with, Foley, near the mat's edge. He looked at the crowd the way farmers look at rain when it finally just rains instead of making threats. Madam, Amma, he said, the day you showed me my tone changed like a child surprised by cane. Today I saw my tone change because I saw names before faces. This is heavier. This is better. It will wobble, she said. Ladders do when the wind of how ego blows. Tired to the sheer bench. What bench? He asked, smiling because he knew the answer was coming dressed as carpentry. She nodded toward the lobby where a woodcarver from Cedar Row was bolting a backrest under the station crest. Deep carved so rain could not file it smooth, the words read, Listen first, instruct next, enforce last. The carver added a small motif, a suncrest, and a human ear. Holding hands like neighbors, he varnished it with oil that smelled faintly of palm kernel and honesty. Sit there, Amma said, whenever your tone forgets its alphabet. And the mayor's liaison returned a final time with a flat parcel. For field liaison Amanyarko, she announced, who knit cloth into policy and policy into the street. She opened the parcel to reveal a writ of thanks, written in script that makes clerks smile. It commended a matter of dignity, a tone ladder, and a receipt box watch that had learned to talk. Ama took the writ the way people take 3 a.m. newborns. Alert, grateful, already counting expenses. This belongs to the shoe bench, she said, and slid it under the varnish to live there like a family picture. Then, Corporal Ofori did the one thing nobody had scheduled but everybody had wanted. He stepped forward, removed his cap, and raised his right hand in a civic salute, palm open, fingers unarmed. He faced Ashnahama. Not with ceremony borrowed from soldiers, but with the quiet war of men against their own worst habits. Madam Amanyarko, field liaison. He said, I mocked the citizen with my tone. Your ideal changed it, but your mat taught it to stay changed. I salute your real rank, keeper of courtesy. May my badge learn from your badge. Phones rose not like weapons, like witnesses. Someone miscaptioned the moment online. Undercover boss checks rogue cop, and the city corrected them in the comments with affectionate scorn. She's not a boss, one wrote. She's an auntie with a sun crest. Oh, that is higher. Dusk folded a day. Volunteers rolled the mat tenderly. The receipt box was locked with a smile. The shuuchi tone ladder leaned against the wall like a satisfied broom. The Benchu received his first visitor, a young constable who sat for 5 minutes, whispering the smell 7 courtesies until they climbed from his mouth to his marrow. Amma walked home along the shoulder. The sea rehearsed a new story against rocks. She touched the bracelet of cowries. She thought of her mother teaching hymns. Make it neat where they will never look. Her mother would say, that is character. A trotro slowed beside her. The mate popped his head out. Auntie. Free lift, he grinned. She climbed in, paid with a proverb. Courtesy shortens journeys. The passengers hummed consent. The hubcap drum, back at its kiosk, tapped once more for the road to remember. Tone can change fast when it sees a crest. The work is to teach it to change when it sees a neighbor. and then to keep it there when nobody is watching. A tale, let it be told. The telling is finished. The courtesy-ling will continue the work. If you reached here, leave your footprint for the hubcap. Like, so the mat stays unrolled. Share it with someone who wears a badge, metal or invisible, and comment with your city plus current time. So the next folktale finds your shoulder before old habits do.